Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Berenice, and today we are continuing my series to showcase all the women in Los Angeles that are making a difference. Today, I want to introduce you to Liliflor, a longtime activist, artist, muralist. She does it all. In her interview, she talks about how she knows that mass deportation is not new because she's experienced it her whole entire life. Please make sure you're following her on all platforms. If you'd like to purchase some of her art, you can do so on her website, on her Instagram, or you can reach out to her personally. Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so that more people can watch this interview. And if you'd like to purchase any of my apparels, you can check the link in the description box. Our pre-sale ends this month at the end of April. If you'd like to purchase a shirt or a hoodie that says "We never cross the border, they created the border across us," you still have time. Or "Our legality does not equal morality," crew neck and shirts as well. Now with that, I want to introduce you to a very, very special friend, Liliflor.
My name is Lilia Ramirez, also known as Liliflor. I'm painting murals. I'm also teaching. I teach at continuation schools and also at youth juvenile camps as well, incarcerated youth.
When you work with youth, do you often find it transformative for them?
Oh, yes, definitely. That's why I'm there.
Mm.
The pay isn't much, but I know I'm there to give something back to the youth and plant seeds of knowledge. My work is definitely inspired by our community, culture, struggles, spirituality, and the beauty of life.
Let's say someone's not fluent in spiritual messaging. Can we guide them through, let's say, if they want to get started and they don't know how? What recommendations do you have?
My suggestion is whoever and whatever path or whatever walk of life you come from, whatever culture you come from, find out your ancestral roots. How do you identify? What are your ancestral roots? And that's where I start a lot of my teaching. My conceptual lens is always identity. So, how do you identify? Most people say, I'm American. No, but where are you from? So let's start there. What are your roots? And you go back, oh, well, my parents were from Switzerland, or my parents were from Argentina, or wherever you're from, Mexico or South America. You find out, and what's the region they were in. Now there's so much technology, you could kind of find out. You may be a detribalized indigenous person, but you could always more or less find the area you're from, start digging in, you start researching, so okay, how do they practice spirituality? And most of these practices are earth-based, so our lessons in life are earth-based. The teachings come from animals, the stars, nature, fire, water, earth, wind. Those are the basic elements that teach you in the path that you're meant to follow. And so I would say start there.
I want to ask you specifically about what does being a daughter of immigrant parents mean to you?
Wow, that means so much to me. The ice raids aren't new. This is not new to me. My mom came here and went at the time where she just sat in a car and crossed the border. She didn't have to cross El Cerro or the Monte. Back in the day, it was a little bit more of an open border kind of thing where you could cross in. They did check, but not like how it is now. And my mom was here. She came to this country in 1964. So she was here for a very long time. So I grew up knowing that she might get deported, but we had to be careful. I remember when I was in the car, my mom would drive and like she would see a cop or anything that looked similar to La Migra or anything that looked like authority. I remember because back in the day, you didn't have seatbelts. So we were little. I remember being 4, 5, 6 years old and kind of being in the back of the car or whatever, standing up or, moving around like little kids in the back of the car. And then she'd be like, agáchate, agáchate, abajo, abajo, porque ahí viene la migra. And then like we go down and like we nos agachábamos on behind the seat. Okay, ya están bien. And it was an actual thing. And it might have not been the migra. Most of the time it was probably a cop. And we always had to kind of hide. So we always had this fear of la migra, right? She could get deported or we get pulled over, whatnot. So that was one of how I grew up in the 70s. But I also remember in the 80s during the time that there was the immigration reform with Ronald Reagan. So I remember that being also a big deal because my mom's like, oh, I'm going to get to apply for my green card after X amount of years. And so she did that. And then there was still raids happening. I never known a time in my life when there weren't any raids. I mean, even what's happening now is not new. It was happening during Obama and it was happening before. It's just, again, a lot of us weren't aware and some people were. I myself have been making art since back then. I have a trajectory of 30 years. And when people say, where were you at? You're talking about now. It's like, oh, well, excuse me. If you look at my bio, you actually look at my work that's been signed with actual year. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I've been out in the streets for a long time since my first protest was against 187 protest back in the day. That was my very first outdoor protest, actually, when that protest happened. So that was against Pete Wilson. That was in 1990, I believe. So I've been in the streets for pretty much 30 years.
Pete Wilson was the one that ended bilingual schools,
Yeah,
correct?
and so he did the three strikes you're outlaw kind of thing.
Yes.
And that was the 187. I also got arrested in Cal State LA because I broke into his gala event alongside a couple handful of people. See, I don't tell people a lot. I don't even know if she's sharing it, but I'm sharing it now. And we broke into, it was the Luckman Theater was at Cal State LA, was the grand opening, and Pete Wilson was going to the grand opening. And we went in there, we locked hands, we changed ourselves, and got arrested. I've been in the front lines from day one. I just don't tell people much of the stuff that I've done because it's not something that I'm trying to show off, or it's nothing performative or anything like that, because you do put your life on the line when you do things like that. And of course, I have a trajectory of other uprisings in LA, like when we did the Peace and Justice Center and we took over the building in 1995 against the Conservation Corps and Nikki Cantor, which is part of GAP program, which was connected to NAFTA at that time, and that was in 1994. I've been part of a lot of big movements that have also been grounded in political resistance, but also cultural resistance, and also being cultural, being the art and the music, being at the forefront of the movement, which we called and we termed edutainment, which now people also term it artivism.
You've been doing this for a really long time. Do you find that when people are starting to awaken from the myth of an American dream, they go back into their Indigenous roots? And what does that mean for their activism? Because you've seen a lot of people come in and out of this. Do you think that's part of what maintains the spirit in order to continue to do this work?
Yes, I do really think that's pretty much what's going to save us. What's going to save us is eco liberation. Eco liberation meaning the earth first and children first. And this is what our indigenous and native brothers from the north to the south have been telling us. And these are what we call the earth protectors, water protectors. And this goes all the way to Alaska, to the Amazon jungles. If there's anything or anyone that's going to save us, definitely is going to be culture, and is going to be for the protection of the earth.
Can you tell me, what does "we never crossed the border, they created the border crossed us" mean in your body?
I've heard that for a long time, and I specifically a song by Aslan Underground, AUG, my homies. What's up? We didn't cross the border, the borders crossed us. I feel it very profound because borders have been imposed on us. So those borders could be an actual physical, tangible gate or fence, right? It could be something that you could physically see or touch. But also, I think borders are also ingrained in our mental psyche. They're also ingrained in every part of society in where we live. And borders doesn't necessarily always mean the actual border from the America to the US. A border could be in our own community. Some kids don't even go to the beach, never been to a mountain or the snow. And I work with youth like that. So there's already borders within borders within borders, and there's fences and cells we can't touch or see. And those are imposed since we were born, and whether by circumstance or by coincidence. But I think there's no coincidence really in this lifetime. I think is by circumstance. We're born in a place that where we automatically come in owing and come in and leave in debt. And so that's already a prison. And those are the borders, many borders that we have to overcome. But for me, that is profound to the deepest levels of my own psyche and spirit.
I feel that very deeply because there's a lot of people in the community, right, that don't go out of their community at all, like their little neighborhood. They stay in, like, what I like to call a pond.
Mhm.
I find that those are often the people that say, well, this doesn't affect me and it's not my problem. It fuels individualism. How can someone, let's say, who has someone that's close to them navigate those conversations grounded
Mhm.
instead of being full with rage. Because for a lot of people, they do believe that ICE raids are new. A lot of people are finally starting to wake up and they don't know how to necessarily have those conversations. And you've had them for a long time. What kind of guidance do you recommend?
Well, I'm going to speak for myself and my own family because a lot of my family they're moving on with their life. I haven't seen them do one post or anything like that, and they're having marriage proposals, quinceañeras, parties, baby showers. They're going shopping, vacations, they're living their life. It doesn't affect them. So they think. But in my family, for instance, if I can't impose the way I believe or push it in their face, because I think even pushing our own ideology and our own understanding of what's going on pushes people away. So the best thing to approach people like that is show them who you are with kindness and love. And then there's always a moment that you have with them that the door will open. And when that doorway opens, that's when you drop a little seed of knowledge and curiosity. Once that is open and they start asking a question or questions, then it's on. That's how I learned to do it. And do it how I navigate. So I say, okay, for example, I'm going to go to a family baby shower. They don't care. They want to play games. My family wants to eat food. They want to drink their Coca-Cola. Quieren hacer sus madres. They want to do their thing. They don't want to be bothered with anything. So, okay, in my mind, okay, I'm going to go with familia. I'm going to spend time with them. You know what I do? I say, hey, what's up? ¿Cómo estás, hermosa, hermosa? Ay, un abracito. Oh, ¿cómo estás? Me pongo a platicar y me arrimo siempre. Always get close to the elders all the time because they have stuff to share. Even if it's not necessarily seen political, but it is political. The fact that we're in a baby shower during these times is political. Being that we're in a gathering, that we know possibly there might be someone might show up in our doorstep. That's already known, whether they want to admit it or not. But always someone in the family is going to throw a joke about Trump or someone or something, right? Kind of like the Snow the Product song, right? We're gonna say El Sábado, we're going where someone's gonna say something, something's gonna pop, right? And so there's always that. Las señoras always come up, even though they're gonna tell you a story or talk about whatever, how cómo hicieron la ensalada or cómo hicieron la comida, whatever. That alone is cultural resistance, the food in itself. So having conversations like that, when I have that, that's always a doorway to. Even though they want to ignore it, it's there and they know it. And so it's me, the one that comes in, right? That's always going to be that one person in the family. Well, I don't like to be the Debbie Downer, but I'm going to tell it how it is. But I'm not always going to throw it in their face. I'm going to find a nice, creative way to let them know that I'm here for you.
Who pays the price when people stay silent?
Everybody does. Everybody. There's no specific person or anything, but I think everybody does. Not only locally but globally, and the main people that pay the price are the children. The children are the ones that pay the price. The ones that are born and the ones that are coming to be born. Those are the ones that pay the price. The 7 generations ahead pays the price. The earth pays the price because we're going to be here. I'm going to be another 20, 30 years if I'm lucky. And most of us already, and our time is counted already. So it doesn't even really matter. What matters? The 7 generations from now.
Why is remembering our history an act of protection and resistance?
Not from books, and history that I've learned on my own is very important. And the most, like even said, the fiestas, learning the stories from the señoras, even how you make food, that's history. That's oral history. That's not written in the books. Like our codices were was burnt. So many of our ceremonies and our cultural practices were saved and passed on through oral tradition and not necessarily in the written language. So that's why it's important to understand history and know your history, whether it's through your own understanding and experiences with other people or your own understanding of history through your cultural practices from your family and how you grew up, whether it's food, music, art, y cultura.
Thank you so much. Can you let us know where we can find you and how we can get in touch with you?
You can find me at Liliflor Art, Liliflorart, on pretty much every social media handle from YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, Up Scroll. I don't have TikTok no more because they're surveilling us. Catch me there and liliflorart.com.
And then, really quickly before we jump off, talk to us about this piece on your left hand side here, really quick, and let people know that your work is also available to purchase.
Yeah, it is. So I have so I brought this art piece to share. Actually it's sold. I'm gonna deliver it right after this interview. This one is I did a self-portrait in homage to going into my elderhood, the 52nd year of rotation, going that in the Nawa or Mexica cosmology, when you're 52 is the 52nd cycle where you become a nana, una abuela. So this is one of them, a precursor to that. Did another piece that actually was that Shimewa Rising. So this is part of the heart series. So I did a healing heart series because my heart's been broken so many times.
Same,
and so I
girl.
have to repair my own heart. So I did a whole heart series. This is also part of the heart series as well. And so this is the heart and the flores, and these are all flowers that heal. The corn is the roots or maíz. Sin maíz no hay raíz, ¿verdad?
Sin maíz no hay raíz.
And this is the third eye, or the third eye of consciousness, or the pineal gland, the awakening. And here is the city. It's como una corona, like a crown. I'm wearing my crown of flowers, and I'm pollinating right here. I'm pollinating stars and knowledge. See right here, pollinating. And this is my crown because I'm still a city girl, but I still try to keep that third eye open, que siga floreciendo like the flowers.
That's so beautiful.
And thank you. And this is a brand new piece that I did. Actually, just finished this week. And this one is a Koyoshauki remix series. And so this one's going to be at the Mujeres de Maíz for March 14th exhibition at the LA Civic Center, I believe. Doing a lot of self-work healing lately. In the last 3 years, I've been doing using myself as well to not process my own personal stuff, and so that's what I do. I'm a city girl. I got to accept it, and I'm going to keep pushing forward and still be in my roots. And this one is Synthesis X. This is a synthesis of nature, number 20, the flower, the Xochitl, the culmination of the Tonal Poali, the time for joy and happiness and caretaking in the Mexica calendar, the Xochitl Quetzal, the Quetzal and the flower. And this is the coming of self in full circle.
I love that so much. So, for a lot of people don't know, the quetzal is also that freedom bird right in Guatemala. So people don't know.
Southern too.
People don't know that the quetzal is the only bird in the world that cannot be held in captivity because it kills itself or it dies of sadness. And it represents the liberation of our people and how we're not going to be happy. And we even have a myth that we say that when our last warrior in Guatemala was fighting, right, in the Spanish War, when he died, the quetzal flew on his chest and laid there, and that's why
You have it.
his chest is red.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the
Thank
work
you for
that
having me
do.
here. Appreciate you.
Bye.